welcome today Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
She's become such an icon.
Would you mind signing this copy?
I am 84 years old and everyone wants to take a picture with me.
Notorious RBG. Yeah.
When you come right down to it, the closest thing to a superhero I know.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed the way the world is for American women.
Ruth Joan Bader was born on March 15, 1933 in Brooklyn, New York. She graduated first in her class at Cornell University and later studied law at Harvard, where she became the first female member of the Harvard Law Review.
As a lawyer and a strategist, Ruth Bader Ginsburg left a huge mark.
After decades of research, Rath and Conchi found that the most effective leaders did 3 key things. The first one was to invest in your strengths. The best leaders don't try and emulate anyone else. They focus on improving the things that they excel at.
She had 2 lessons that she repeated over and over. Be a lady and be independent. Be a lady meant don't allow yourself to be overcome by useless emotions like anger. And by independent, she meant it would be fine if you met Prince Charming and lived happily ever after, but be able to fend for yourself.
She had this kind of quiet magnetism, even though she was not effusive.
You always thought that she wasn't listening and she didn't know what was going on, but she knew what was going on.
And she didn't do small talk.
No small
And she didn't do girl chat. And she didn't get on the phone and talk with us about what happened on the weekend.
She's a deep thinker.
Rath and Conchi characterized the leadership strength into 4 domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. RBG's strengths fall into the strategic thinking domain. Leaders with great strategic thinking strengths are the ones who keep us all focused on what could be.
Men and women are persons of equal dignity, and they should count equally before the law.
You won't settle for putting Susan B. Anthony on the new dollar.
When they would say things like this, how did you respond?
Well, never in anger, as my mother told me. That would have been self-defeating.
We won because the strategy was brilliant. We won because we were smart and prepared and we fought hard.
You couldn't miss what Ruth was doing during the 70s.
She was creating a legal landscape.
In 1980, President Jimmy Carter appointed Ginsburg to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, and 13 years later, Ginsburg was appointed by President Bill Clinton to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Justice Ginsburg approached her confirmation hearing with her own strategy that has come to be known as the Ginsburg precedent. She was trying to carve out an area where judicial nominees would be judged primarily by their credentials and not by the views they may hold.
Key number 2, effective leaders surround themselves with the right people and build on each person's strengths.
We all were struck by the tremendous difference between Marty and Ruth. Marty was the most gregarious, outgoing life of the party. Ruth was really quite recessive in a way.
And one of the things that someone said is that you would never have been on the court without him. Do you agree with that?
It's absolutely true. At the time Clinton was considering who would be his first nominee to the court, he said, you will be on the list, but you'll probably be around number 25 unless you do something to promote yourself. So I'm not very good at promotion, but Marty was. And he was tireless in his effort to see that I would be the nominee.
When we think about Justice Scalia and Justice Ginsburg, they were in many ways complete opposites. I mean, there was the rough and tumble Scalia. He cut his teeth in the Nixon administration, and then the soft-spoken Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg said that his critiques, and Scalia could have some doozies, believe me, made her better. Justice Scalia nailed all the weak spots, the applesauce and the argle-bargle. That's a typical colorful Scalia language for you, and gave me just what I needed to strengthen the majority opinion.
Key number 3, understand your followers.
Because the judges didn't think sex discrimination existed. Well, one of the things I tried to plant in their minds was think about how you would like the world to be for your daughters and granddaughters.
The gender line helps to keep women not on a pedestal, but in a cage.
Also known as the notorious RBG. It would be easy to dismiss all this as respectful teasing, but the appreciation runs deeper.
I'm like a weird mole. I'm tiny, but I could be dangerous.
She just is who she is. She's very confident, very aware of herself.
She believes in what she believes in, and she's going to say it. She's not worried about what people think about her.
I'm lucky enough to grow up in a time where I can take for granted the things that RBG paved the way for, like practicing law.
I love RBG. She's the superhero I never knew I needed.
RBG has inspired me to focus on my own strength and surround myself with the right people.
She is a center of power on and off the court.
Every time Justice Ginsburg wrote a dissent, the internet would explode.
I came up with a couple slogans. You can't spell truth without Ruth.
I surely would not be in this room today without the determined efforts of men and women who kept dreams alive.